Saudi Arabia Backlash movie based on migrant workers' life, The Goat Life, a film that Netflix released this month, is based on the experiences of Najib Muhammad, an Indian migrant worker who worked in Saudi Arabia in the early 1990s and was compelled to work as a goat herder after becoming lost in the desert. The 2008 best-selling book Goat Days, authored by another migrant worker and author under the pen name Benjamin, serves as its inspiration. The film has sparked controversy in Saudi Arabia, where people are using social media to call for a boycott of Netflix and alleges that the movie dramatically exaggerates a single instance of abuse of a migrant worker, promotes false stereotypes about Saudi culture, and presents an essentially inaccurate and out-of-date picture of how Saudi Arabia treats its migrant workforce. Although the film is based on a case from the 1990s and perhaps exaggerates some parts of Najib's story for dramatic effect, the abuses documented in the narrative are sadly more common than Saudi social media critics would have us believe. Additional information about Najib's experiences was revealed in interviews for the film's promotion. The abuses shown in the film revolve around the isolation of animal herders and include unequal control over laborers made possible by Saudi Arabia's system of kafala sponsorship, widespread misuse of salaries and employment fees, exposure to intense heat, and a lack of state supervision. These violations have long been known to have occurred in Saudi Arabia and other Gulf nations. Similar to domestic workers, migrant animal herders face severe mistreatment due to a lack of protection by Saudi Arabia's labor regulations. They are frequently the targets of physical abuse, trafficking, and isolation. Downplaying the abuses made possible by the racist labor governance structure known as the kafala system involves attempting to brush off unsettling images of migrant worker abuses as racism, slander, or an attempt to divert attention by engaging in whataboutism. Even after Najib departed Saudi Arabia 30 years ago, the oppressive sponsorship system remains in place, even though the fact that he was kidnapped and held captive by a fake sponsor who pretended to be his employer and picked him up from the airport. The realization of Saudi Arabia's global ambitions, as set out in its Vision 2030 plans and demonstrated in its recent bid to host the FIFA Men's World Cup in 2034, relies heavily on migrant labor. The fact is that there will be a lot more tales like Najib's, which openly reveal the horrifying mistreatment experienced by migrant workers in Saudi Arabia unless the country prioritizes daring labor protection measures in addition to its ambitious initiatives.